This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
I'd like to welcome all to the Board of Public Works public hearing for March 2024. I will make a motion to open this evening's hearing.
I second.
Oh, she's quick. All right. The roll call for opening.
All right, Thomas Mollsbury,
Yes.
and Steve Littman,
Yes.
and Neil Strode.
Yes.
All right, motion carried.
All right, so the purpose of this evening's meeting, over the last few months, we've worked to the mayor's request to review the base usage fees for the water meters in town, and we've also, as a part of that, then looked into all the DPW fees that we have in our regulations and the disposal fees at the recycling center and the dump stickers for the provide access to the brush dump and recycling center. So that is the bulk of this evening's hearing. Item number 2 on here is recommendation from the DPW director. Do you have anything you'd like to address the board or public?
No, I mean, I think what we put forward here are kind of just reasonable increases to cover just basically our costs. I mean, if we get called out to turn the water on at a house that was either vacant or needs a repair, there is a staff time associated with performing that. Sometimes it's quick and easy, sometimes it's not. But we're not gonna the fee we charge that won't change whether it's more difficult or an easier one for us. It's just basically set to a little more of what we see in other departments and what it costs us to just provide these services. So we've tried to be fair and reasonable with what we're proposing, and like a broken or frozen water meter. I mean, if we do have to rely on residents, users of the public water system to protect meters from freezing, our costs for meters have gone up significantly over the past few years, and just have to, if one isn't protected from freezing and it bursts, we have to replace now. A lot of them now are one piece, where the meter and the radio unit need to be replaced together, and it's just if we're not recouping the cost of one person not protecting their meter from being damaged, then everyone else is kind of paying the burden of one person not kind of doing their part. So it's just kind of in fairness and trying to cover the what it costs us to do business. So I know a lot, like we have in here, a lot of our fees haven't changed in over 20 years, so kind of trying to catch up.
All right, if that's I will open the floor to any public speak on the proposed sewer usage fees, water and sewer usage fees, not usage fees, I apologize, meter fees, base rate fees, or the proposed service fees or dump fees. Welcome you to address the board. Okay.
I guess I'll go first.
Sure, can you just say your name and?
Jay Andrzejczyk, 64 Division Street. I looked pretty closely at your rate analysis, usage rate analysis that you did from last meeting.
Yes.
Which that had your fingerprints all over
Yes.
it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to, yes, I'll
Excellent. With that, our usage by the end of 2026 for sewer, we're going to be looking at a 295% increase over the last 23 years. I did an analysis, a global analysis. That's lower than Haiti's inflation rate. It's on par with Yemen's. Given that already Herculean fee increase that we're dealing with, I think that additional fee increases based on this just maybe a little too much for some folks to handle. My biggest concern are the seniors. So adding these additional fees on top of that is too much for the general public, I think.
Well, I just want to clarify, we're not adjusting usage fees in this.
I know, that's untouchable at this point, right? Because you already approved 3 consecutive years of usage increases. We're stuck with that. I'm looking to put a tourniquet on the bleeding for the seniors.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other public input on the proposed structures?
So
Yes.
I would echo what Jay said. I believe that the current water fees, adding to them, particularly with the inflation and increased fees and costs that we're seeing across the board for other things, puts too much of a strain on households, particularly households on fixed incomes. I think we've seen a number of seniors over the last few years leave the city because they can't afford to live here anymore. And given that they built the city and they have made it the wonderful place that it is, the fact that we are feeing them out of a home, it is sort of ridiculous.
Okay.
Can you say your name and your address?
Sure. Catherine Lozinski, 22 Overland Drive.
And sign in as well
I did.
if you,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
okay.
down here.
Okay,
Yeah, it's-
great, thank you. Could I have that?
Traditional spelling.
Yeah, a lot of ways to spell that.
Any other one like to address the board? Alright, if there's no further public input, we'll open the floor to discussion by the board members for what we've discussed over the last 3 months in preparing this, what we've provided to Leah, and the public input we've heard this evening.
Once again, it seems like the fees haven't been increased in some time. And some of them 2002, 6, 2014. So we've been kind of riding a lower value for some time until we finally realize that we have to do something to be up with the mainstream of what other communities are doing.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is a proposed increase in the base fee as well as usage fees?
No, the usage fees we set last year, we set
Okay.
for FY '24, '25, and '26. We're not adjusting them with this. At that time, we did make adjustments to the base fees for 5/8 meters. In the regulations, we've since found out that didn't cascade through all the meter sizes.
I see.
So we're trying to codify a set multiplier that when we set a 5/8 fee, it will cascade through and the fees for larger meters will increase.
So that in the future, only the 5/8 meter fee needs to be
Well,
set.
we'll probably still set them in a table like this so they're codified, but we'll have a set method because in the post-analysis, this hadn't been done since 2006, and there was no record of how they developed the base fees per meter size. So,
Right, and if I recall from the February or January meeting where you presented this, there was kind of a discrepancy in fee multipliers throughout the years?
Well, because if you think about it, as the 5/8 one changed, they were using the dollar difference from the 2006 fee setting.
Mhm.
So if the, 5/8 meter went up $5, everything went up $5, and they were still the same unit apart.
Right,
So, before it was originally the large meters were, I forget, 90 times the cost. It is slowly eroded, which was why we're seeing
so it wasn't adjusted volumetrically?
no.
Okay.
And moving forward, I've proposed that sort of multiplier, that sort of sets in stone where it was set in like FY24 when we did the first adjustment.
So we're not going back to the 90 multiplier?
No, because as Greg brought up, we have very few of those, and also meters over 2 inches, the customer buys themselves. The water department only supplies meters up to 2 inches. So the DPW doesn't have the extra burden of buying a $6,000
I see.
water
They can
meter.
get, the bigger the meters are, they get very, very expensive.
Yeah. So,
I'd say over 90% of our meters in our public water system are 5/8 residential.
yeah, and as we've discussed on the February 15th meeting, when we sort of did the rate analysis, the proposed fees changes will result in a net increase of between 1% and 2% for residential customers, which roughly works out to a total of about a $15 bill change. So, no, that's the annual increase over 4 bills you'd see. And then in the next change in FY26, it would be an approximately $17 bill increase over the year. Again, that was 1.5% to 2% increase. So, and as we did then, we did a household burden index calculated out to 5.7%, which from our previous analysis is with tie and bond. I believe it was under 7% as a low burden. So we tried to keep it within those metrics in developing this and meeting the mayor's request and keeping the DPW enterprise fund secure. Does the board have any other input on any of the topics we've discussed?
I'm curious where the increase goes. What is it used to fund?
So just basically our water sewer enterprise fund.
Okay.
So any revenue that the city earns through operation of the public water and sewer systems is then returned to the enterprise retained earnings account and used to invest in the public water and sewer systems.
Okay.
Which are in need of significant amounts
Yeah.
of investment
Yes.
everywhere we look.
But it's technically siloed for
Okay.
public works. It doesn't go back to the fund. It stays within.
Only goes towards operations and maintenance and rehabilitation of the water and sewer
Operations.
infrastructure.
Maintenance and rehabilitation. So it doesn't go towards sort of capital improvements.
Yeah, absolutely
does.
does,
Okay.
yes, only on the water and sewer systems
Okay.
and wastewater treatment plant.
It doesn't get supplied to roads or any of that. That's a separate.
Unless we were to disturb a road during one
Yeah,
day sewer
but-
replacement, but
It doesn't fund all of the DPW's work.
Understood.
It's siloed, the water fee, water and sewer fees.
Okay.
Or enterprise funds, I should say. Any further input? Any discussion from the board, I should say?
The only thing is with regards to the service fees, if you look at that as a group, and it's been some time since we've increased these rates, yes, it may look like a lot, but we're not gonna be, we as a resident of Easthampton aren't gonna be doing all of those at once, and maybe with this, you may need to do this year, maybe that next year. So if you look at it as a group, it may look like a lot, but it's just, one or two items that may pertain to you.
You're saying on the
Right.
schedule of DPW fees for sewer connections and
Correct.
turn-ons and turn-offs, yeah. Yeah, they mostly pertain to property construction and property transfer.
I mean, one thing for people to know, like we'll get called out sometimes for situations that aren't emergencies. And this can happen, I mean, one time I got called in on a Sunday afternoon, this was years ago, because someone slid a box over at Family Dollar and hit their water service, shut off all the valve and shut the water off to the building. Now I had to come in and was able to fix it, turn it right back on quickly. But at the time I was a supervisor, we didn't get overtime, but now if that were to happen, we have to call in at least one staff member. He has to come in and make a determination that he could have solved himself, but you know, a guy getting called in now is $30 to $35 an hour on overtime with a 4-hour minimum. So there's a cost associated with he or she being called in to do that. So like one thing we kind of beg people to be mindful of is this really an emergency? Because there's water coming out of the hill in your backyard because we just got a ton of rain. You need to call dispatch for that and make us have someone come in. It's things like, I guess what I'm asking is residents to be a little more mindful of what they're calling after hours for, and if they really need someone right then and there, can wait till, it's happened several times this year where we've had people be called in for things that really, I mean, we had someone called hysterically about water leaking in their basement. They had set down a 5-gallon jug of Poland spring water and it cracked. And here we are incurring a fee, we're paying overtime for guys to come in. And when someone's freaking out like that, generally whoever's on call is on their way, and then they're calling for someone to help them so that they can get this resolved as quickly as they can. And now we're paying 2 people because someone let a Poland spring jug leak in their basement. I mean, these are the things that happen. And it's just not fair for all the other water and sewer ratepayers to have to subsidize that cost.
But that being said, we're not making this punitive. We're making
No, we
these
just
to recoup.
Yeah, to cover what it's costing us to really operate the utilities.
There's no further deliberation. We've closed public speak for now. I apologize. No further discussion by the board. I'm going to make a motion to approve the FY 25 and 26 quarterly base fees as prepared and presented.
I second.
Okay. Thomas Mossberry
Yes.
and Steve Litwin
Yes.
and Leah Strode.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Make a motion to adjust the DPW fee schedule for the sewer, wastewater, and water regulation fees as prepared and presented in public meeting.
Second.
Okay. Thomas Mossberry,
Yes.
Steve Litwin,
Yes.
Leah Strode.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
There's no further discussion on the brush dump sticker and disposal fees. I will make a motion to set the brush dump sticker fee and disposal charges as set forth in Greg's memo to the board on 3/20/2024.
I second.
Okay, Thomas Mossberry,
Yes.
Steve Litwin,
Yes.
Leah Strode.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank everyone for their input. I'll make a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
Second.
Thomas Mossberry,
Yes.
Steve Litwin,
Yes.
Leah Strode.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank everyone for their time and participation.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.